ratio, and it does that, basically no matter what you do. And so a lot of the FE units, I think those just help people lean out the mixture, but if you don't do all the sensors, then, you're not going to be able to lean the mixture out. And so basically I decided that this car is, the sensors work differently than some of the newer cars because this car is a 92. And so I just decided that I need a different test vehicle that's a little bit newer, that I can, that the equipment that's marketed for FE units, and I was using the Powerbox 3 from the Hydroxy Corporation, and the way that unit is set up, it didn't work super well for an older car. And so I decided that I need to test it on a new car. Not a new car, but OBD2. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with that, and I've been so focused on my thesis and different things like this that, I put the research a little bit on the back burner, but, basically it's like as soon as I have, research funding again, I would have a lot of ideas that I'd like to try.
Okay, it's possible that one of our listeners to this program may actually be looking for someone like yourself to, finance along the way to help them achieve their goals,
right?
With regard to this technology. So,
well, basically my goal, I would like to either, I have several things that I'm working on that I don't directly want to talk about, but, if somebody's interested in, into talking to me about, ideas I have for research, they can contact me.
Well, great. And we've posted your email address and, of course, your YouTube videos, the link to those.
One thing I will say, back onto the hydrogen, the scooters project, I found this paper from India again, where this group of, it was a university over there. They were converting a little three-wheel rickshaw. They have these scooter rickshaws over there, and they power them off natural gas typically. But this one paper shows how they converted it to hydrogen, and so it details exactly how to convert it to tanked hydrogen. And so what I would like to do, and this is one of my project ideas, is to go ahead and convert the thing to hydrogen, basically how this paper outlines, and then try to replicate what Bob Boyce was doing with his race boats. Basically what he was doing was, in the beginning, before he figured out some of the resonance systems, he was just running these race boats off batteries, running his electrolysis. And so I would like to convert one of these rickshaws so you have kind of a storage area where you could actually put your cells and batteries, whereas on the actual scooter, there's no room for that. So I would like to do something like that, where you convert the rickshaw to hydrogen, and then you run it off batteries. And then once you have that base unit, then I think you could, develop some more exotic systems to be able to, maybe even run the thing on its own like that.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting to note that, let's see, his name was Luther Wattles, and his patent number is 583,104. Now, what does that tell you? If you know anything about patents, if the number of his patent was less than 1 million, 583,104 is his patent number.
Mm-hmm.
What are we up in the 7 millions now?
I haven't been looking at that stuff that closely, but yeah, that would mean it'd be a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah, this is 1897.
Okay.
I'm quite sure is the date on this. And it says here, I'm going to just read from his patent. It's sort of a cute little sentence here. It says, talking about his hydrogen generator, he says, its use, therefore, is, in the case of small units of application, peculiarly well adapted as a means of propulsion for bicycles, tricycles, motorcycles, or horseless vehicles, and other forms of carriages, cars, and devices for transportation. So when you just mentioned that rickshaw in India, it made me think of this patent. Now, mind you, this is 12 years ago, that this guy patented an onboard hydrogen generating system. May 25th, 1897. And he says it's especially well suited for little vehicles.
Right. Well, back before, petroleum became big, I think there was a lot of technology that kind of became lost, really. I mean, back in those early days, the diesel engines were run off peanut oil, and, there was electric cars back then, and, hydrogen cars and hydrogen boosting, and then, petroleum got big, and everybody decided, well, we're just going to do that.
And is it that everybody decided it, or is it that just a couple people decided it, and everybody else followed suit?
I'm trying to be diplomatic about it.
Yeah, but when we talk about everybody was really doing something quite different, and yet we were all corralled down this path. And now here, 100 years later, we're scratching our heads wondering, well, how do we do this? If we'd only allowed our ancestors to follow through with their ideas, we wouldn't be scratching our heads wondering how to do it.
Well, an interesting thing that I ran into, and it's not related directly to hydrogen, but during World War II, there was a big shortage of petroleum. And so, these guys in a lot of different countries, they converted their cars to run on wood gas.
Producer gas.
Yeah, basically, and I've done some research on that, and, it's an interesting technology, but you're using wood, so that, that's
sure.
somewhat, it's renewable, but how long does it take a tree to grow?
Yeah.
But that it kind of shows an example that, when there's a pressing need for an alternative, somebody will come up with an alternative. And I think that's probably why the hydroxy HHO industry has gotten so big, is because the fuel prices have been so high in the last few years.
Oh, I can definitely plot it on a chart that my book on turning water into hydrogen fuel, the sales of that book died off over the past several months that fuel prices were low. Mm-hmm. And as they started creeping back up over the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden I'm selling books on Amazon.com again.
Right.
And, anyone can chart this because Amazon releases the figures. They're constantly updating and making available to the public just how popular any book is. In other words,
right.
they give it a number rating based on all the millions of books that they sell. They tell you from 1 to 5 million, or however many they have in their inventory, exactly what number a particular book is selling. And all the books relating to alternative energy die down into no sales at all when things are going well with regard to the price of energy.
Yeah.
The public is complacent and isn't interested at all. And then as energy prices go up, all of a sudden all these books on alternative energy are of interest to the public again.
Well, the fortunate thing is that there's still, even though, maybe the casual observers fell off, we picked up a large amount of researchers. And I don't think any of those researchers gave up, just because of fuel prices. I could be wrong, but... Well,
let me tell you what happens to those researchers, okay? We all have a life. Most of us have to work for a living. And so we do put hydroxy research on the back burner when we're trying to pay our bills, especially in this bad economy.
Oh, definitely.
But then as the price of fuel starts going back, a lot of it has to do with anger. You just feel like you're being exploited, and that causes you to think, I'm getting back to the drawing board on this, And so it's pretty funny, really, to watch how people, jump back into the ring when their level of angst over fuel prices goes up.
Well,
my goal, their blood pressure.
Right. Well, my goal with with my, I don't know if I want to say my life, but just with my interest here is I'd like to see, us not have to use fuels anymore. I've really gotten interested in some of the stuff that Tesla was doing, and